The winning group is the one with the highest average mark. In addition, Fishbowl Discussion. This activity intends to encourage a deep discussion among the students. The students are divided into two circles, the inner circle, which is the fish, and the outer circle, which are the observers. Each group nominates a fish to bring their discussion points forward, while the remaining students shall observe and write down all the important points during the discussion. The fishes interact with one another on the open-ended topic that had been given earlier to them.
Reflection. Students are instructed to write 1-minute paper in class during the day. Students may also be asked to write reflection on chapter basis. In order to make the retention of the knowledge longer, the students in a team were asked to prepare a reflection portfolio in a website format. Each of them write their own reflection and put it up in their own dedicated team website.
In between the activities, sometimes the students will be required to give peer ratings to their students. At the same time, students need to give feedback in a constructive and appreciative manner to each of their team members. So that's all about Flipped Cooperative Learning for aspiring chemical engineers that we have innovated. So you can see that we have designed the activity marrying of flipped classroom and cooperative learning together, and we have put all the activities as per sequence and per structure. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, I hope that you have watched this video. And then we're going to have the quiz. Just so you know that Flipped Cooperative Learning ni was among this approach was among the finalists for ACRI in 2019. So we participate in ACRI, Anugerah Khas Menteri. We became the finalists in the immersive category here. But we feel that is something that it's applicable not only for engineering program, but also for other program as well. With of course using various kind of activities. So let's have a quiz. Okay, so what you're gonna do right now, I would like you to actually go to socrative.com. You can go to www.socrative.com and click student login. Now you become a student, click student login. And then there is a room name that you need to write down. So please choose KRD room. And after that, you can type your name and you can start to answer the quiz. You may start now. Okay, go to socrative.com and then you can actually join KRD room, KRD ROOM, and then please type your name and you can start to answer the quiz. So you can start to see, okay, Dr. Azura is here, Dr. Izaham is already here. Okay, so we have more. Okay. You can follow this instruction. Socrative, click on student login and put in the name of the room, KRD room, type your name and you may start to answer the quiz. There are actually altogether six questions. Okay, kita dah ada berapa orang yang dapat 100% score. Tak yang buat salah. It's okay. Hadiah tak ada tak maaf. Dr. ID dapat full mark. Amboi, request hadiah. Dr. Chia, okay. Good job, Dr. Chia. And then we have Dr. Lim. Dr. Lim managed to get full mark here. Who else? Tak apa, cuba lagi. So Creative is one of the tool that I use normally for formative assessment for the students. For example, so that whenever that they have completed the video, they have watched the video, and then when the time they come into the class or before we start the class, so I give this quiz to them so that they can actually try to attempt and check their understanding lah, to the extent that how much they have actually understood the content that being given. It's also kind of a feedback to us lah, whether what we give them is sufficient ataupun there is some misconception. So from here we can check lah which particular misconception that they are having. Okay, let's say I revisit the quiz. So the question I think that many of you cannot attempt well is question number 6 as well as question number 3. And number 1 also some of you make ada salah lah. Alright. So let's say we're going to look at the question. For example, Flipped-Cooperative learning is an integration between flipped classroom and cooperative learning. Fishbowl activity is to allow a deeper and reflective discussion among the students. The Jigsaw and Team Skin tournament are actually part of cooperative learning strategies, which I'll be sharing with you afterwards. The real reason why reflection is carried out is to internalize and amplify the learning experience. And flipped classroom can be done by giving the students the following materials, which is actually everything. Lecture videos, video available from MOOC sources, YouTube, textbook, case study, and journal. Anything that you give for individual learning beforehand, it can also be made as part of the flipped classroom approach lah. Okay. Alright. So let's move to the next topic. Okay. I'm going to allow you to actually have a little bit reading. Let me check. Let's go back to, okay. I would like everybody to go to item number 4 in the Padlet. So let's go back to Padlet. So everybody, you can click on item number 4. This an article published in 2018 about cooperative learning. This is not yet about flipped classroom. Flipped classroom ni punya paper saya tak sempat publish. Haven't got have data, a lot of data, but never got any chance to publish it yet. So this is about cooperative learning. One of the courses that I taught, the student developed board game consisting of 3 subjects. So it's 3 courses combined together, integrated. So the students need to come up with for 3 subjects together and come up with board games lah. I would like you to actually go together with me to page 2. Okay. So from page 2, let's have a read. Let's read. Spend your time a little bit reading the second paragraph. Second paragraph in page 2. starting from the word here. One of the student-centered learning strategies that could make an impact to the student is cooperative learning. Cooperative learning was introduced approximately 40 years ago. So I would like you to spend your time a little bit, just read the paragraph here, followed by cooperative learning is claimed to formally or informally, and move towards a formal cooperative learning is a more structured activity in comparison to the active learning. So roughly there'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. We can actually have a more thorough understanding about what is actually cooperative learning is all about. Okay, I'll give you roughly 5 minutes, and then we actually will discuss about it. Okay, if you be able to go to Padlet, sekali lagi if you be able to go to Padlet, and then click on item 4, and then go to the second page of item 4. You're reading what is a cooperative learning, is a teamwork, active learning, structured activity, small group discussion and instruction by the lecturers. Cooperative learning is the activity of learning that involve more than one individual. Okay, social, academic, helping each other to learn and understand through various activities. Incorporates deep learning, activities in a small group to better achieve the learning objective compared to learning alone. Okay. 2 or more students form a team to work on a problem-based task after attending a lecture, may be structured or not. Okay. What else? What else that you can coin from cooperative learning just now when you go through the? It's applicable formally as well as informally, right? Just so you know, when you read through that, informal cooperative learning is actually the same as active learning that I have shared last week. Okay, last week ada on the workshop on active learning, right? That active learning is actually called as informal cooperative learning. It's a bit unstructured in terms of the team because the student just basically choose whoever they can be a partner during that time. It's just for a short-term goal. But formal cooperative learning is a bit different. It's a bit different that I'm going to share with you afterwards. Allow active involvement of each learner in the group. Structured activity in small group. Everybody has to get involved. Prevent free riders. Students working together in a group to achieve mutual goals. Okay. Encourage interdependence and involve participation of all team members in a learning process. Wonderful. Okay. So as we have read about the articles, okay, little bit section of the articles. So let's move to the next slides. So what is actually cooperative learning? Cooperative learning ni is a bit different compared to collaborative learning. I must say that collaborative learning is like a big umbrella, and the cooperative learning becomes substructured of it, because collaborative learning is a bit unstructured. For example, like if let's say you just put together students within a group and then do some tasks during for that particular activities, so that is considered as collaborative activities or collaborative learning. However, if let's say for cooperative learning, they must fulfill first these five principles. Okay. The first one is actually on what we call as positive interdependence. Positive interdependence means that the students are interdependent on each other. positively. It's like you rise, I rise, you sink, we sink together with you. So that's the idea of positive interdependence. In a way that whenever that we give some kind of task to the student, it's supposed to be done by everyone. So for example, if let's say we take an example of giving an essay to the student. If let's say you form a group of 4 and you ask the student to write an essay, okay? So when the students write an essay, what happened? How many of them actually do write an essay, do spend the time to write the essay? Maybe 1, maybe 2. So that particular task is not suitable to be a task for cooperative learning. That's how what does it mean? Okay. Second one is what we call as individual accountability, which means that um, it is not simply divide and compile activities. It's not simply like whenever that we give the task to the student divide among themselves, and by the time of submission, they just compile without checking each other's work. So that is not the principle of cooperative learning. Principle of cooperative learning is what we call as individual accountability, which means that each and everyone ada dia punya part masing-masing. They have their own part, and if let's say one part is not complete, the whole task is not complete as well. So that is in terms of individual accountability, and everyone need to check each other's work. So with regard to, for example, the articles that you read just now on the board games kan, board games development tu, each of the student have their own task. Maybe one of the student need to take one subject, another student need to look into, two more student need to look into another subject, and 2 more into another subject, and they create question together, and then they need to come back on together so that they can develop the board games. Because if you think about an individual develop everything, that they cannot. They have to work together. They have to force themselves to work together. So that is in terms of the face-to-face interaction. Okay, we talk about face-to-face interaction. It's not simply just divide and let go. It is actually divide the task and come back and check each other's work and give a comment, give feedback, and to improve from time to time. So that is actually face-to-face interaction. And it is not only the meeting between the students and the students, but also the meeting with the instructors also count as part of the face-to-face interaction. The fourth one is the appropriate interpersonal skills, which means here the students, whenever that they are in this cooperative learning activities, they are using all these kind of skills. For example, negotiation, team building, adaptability, affirmation skills, persuasion, conflict management, communication skill, and so on. So these are the things that they are building while actually they are using these interpersonal skills. And from time to time, they also have regular group function assessment, which means that students need to give feedback to their friends about how their participation is in in the group, in the team. They need to rate the team members' performance. So the peer rating activities is not only being conducted um, by the end of submission of project, for example, but it should be done intermittently. For example, like from time to time, there should be some kind of peer rating and team feedback activities that could be done. So that is actually principles of cooperative learning. So that's why whenever that we combine the flip and cooperative learning, it's actually it's complement each other. Because, for example, if let's say you are doing flip classroom alone, you might have a chance of like students becoming too dependent on you. Like they are not, if let's say they do not have any assigned group whatsoever, they will still come back to you and ask question. Even sometimes, if you notice, right, our students, no matter how many times that you tell them you need to ask question in the Telegram group so that everybody can benefit from it, they will still PM to P. They will still actually ask you at the side, because this particular student, they have already stuck in the mentality of afraid of making mistake, right? So they are not sure, they just PM you. But whenever that you create a cooperative learning as a team together, this is the first avenue that they could discuss anything that they are not sure of before they come and ask you. And we always can refer to them, said, go and ask your team members, please discuss with your members and then come back to me whether you still have confusion in it. So that's uh, another quick ways of actually not getting rid somehow, but it's actually just to make sure that the students also knows to depend on their friends in order for them to get the answers. Um, so cooperative learning pula, okay, in other words, if let's say we didn't conduct flipped classroom, we just do lecture, we do not have enough time to conduct cooperative learning. That's also another issue, because most of the time whenever we have class, we have lecture, right? So we don't have time to put the students together as a team to do all these kind of activities. So that's why I would say flipped classroom and cooperative learning is complementing each other. And because I used to know that there is one lecturer who conducted cooperative learning with lecture. So she found difficulty of doing that cooperative learning because she didn't have enough time. But by having the students going through the material on their own first and then come back to the class just for the activities, so they will have more time for it. Even just so you know that whenever the 1 hour lecture that we always give, right, in our normal class, if let's say we just compress it in a video, it would not last then more than 15 or 20 minutes. And furthermore, we can just chunk it down, you know, 5 to 8 minutes video and so on, make it a short videos so that the students can have time, a lot of length, plenty of time for them to just go through that lecture on their own, maybe at night when we already asleep, then they go through the lecture because they have class the next day, for example. So that's why I would say flipped classroom and cooperative learning are complementary to each other, with the condition that whenever that we want to conduct cooperative learning, these 5 principles must be fulfilled. Okay, it has to be fulfilled. Not only one, not only two, but you have to make sure that whenever that we design certain kind of activity or task, there are these particular pillars are there. Especially the most important part is the first 3 pillars. We call it positive interdependence, individual accountability, as well as face-to-face interaction. So these are the pillars that is very important to be there lah, for cooperative learning. So cooperative learning is not students sitting around a table studying together. Okay, it is not a group project with 1 or 2 students doing all the work. Because cooperative learning is normally used when students are assigned in teams or project, but it is not only for project. It is not only for tutorials, but it is also can be done while we are doing the teaching activities, which actually in our normal class. So we can use cooperative learning approach as well. So as you read from the articles as well, cooperative learning, it is an instructional method to small groups so that the students can maximize their own learning. And it has essential elements, the 5 important principles study, which I have described earlier. And it reduces the occurrence of unpleasant situation in a group work. This is where actually the students will start to be more responsible and be more accountable with their tasks. So the students know what will be the consequences. They will not share the same marks, even though they are actually working together for the same project, but they will end up having a different mark. And finally, it's actually on the impact of cooperative learning. It will give academic success, quality of relationship, psychological adjustment, and positive attitude towards college experience. If you read further with that paper, it's also highlighted that there are 2 scenarios which actually makes the student drop out from the college. One is because their academic achievement, that's number one. But at the same time, because they do not have a chance to socialize with their friends. Okay, socialize with their friend. There is nobody to support them socially while they are at the university. So that makes them become college dropout. So in cooperative learning, this is where the opportunity comes in, where we can actually make them socialize with each other and at the same time learning with each other. That's the idea of having cooperative learning. So as you know, cooperative learning ni dia ada 3. There are 3 levels of cooperative learning. The first one is informal. Informal is like the last week when I described about active learning, like for example, think, pair, share. When you're doing you have just a short-term goal, you give a question to the students and the student need to answer. So what the student need to do is initially maybe they need to think about the answer themselves, and then they look at their partner and share the discussion, share the points with the partner, okay, and then after that they share the result with you, and maybe next week different partner are sitting with them, so they are sharing with different people. Okay, so that is kind of informal lah. It just happened during that time. But for formal cooperative learning is a long-term group assignment. Okay, for example, starting from the day 1 of the semester, until towards the end of the semester. It can also become longer. It can also and if let's say we are using it for many activities, many type of activities, it's actually going back to the same group over and over again. So that is what we call as formal cooperative learning structures. The third one, this is a much more comprehensive. For example, like the students come to your subject as and take your subject, okay, and the similar students are also taking another one or two more subjects, and this particular subject also offered like giving group project and so on, and they stick to the same group. For example, like what I shared with you, an integrated project, it's actually the same group and but for different courses. So this particular practice falls under what we call as cooperative based groups. Or perhaps, for example, like this semester, this is the group. Move into the next semester, they maintain in the same group as well. So this is what we call as cooperative based group. It is a formal support group for one semester until students graduate. Okay, so this is actually the three approaches lah in cooperative learning structures. But what I am interested more to discuss afterwards is actually the second one lah, which is a formal cooperative learning structures. As you see in the video, so this is one of the framework that we came out with flipped cooperative learning approaches. So where the students start first with watching the videos, or they were given some kind of problems to solve in advance, or they need to answer the quizzes provided. So this is part of the pre-class activities. When they start into the class, there'll be some recap session. So the recap session involve, for example, like gallery walk, recap back whatever that they have learned. We do some concept tests, in-class polling, for example, or something pair share activities. So when I mentioned about recap session, it's not like, okay, let's what you learned. It's not about we summarize the video. Okay, we don't do that. We actually ask the student to recap back, and there can be plenty of activities. For example, one of the activities that I did, for example, I brought a lot. This is during the physical class. I brought a lot of yellow sticky notes and markers, and I give to the students. They are just sitting randomly. So what they did is actually I asked them, okay, what are the keywords very important to the videos that you learn yesterday that you watched throughout last week, for example. So the student need to brainstorm and write down their using the marker. After they make a pair activities, they discuss with their friends and then just jot down all the keywords, and I asked them to actually come to the front and paste the yellow sticky notes on the wall. And during that time, I just pick maybe one or two groups, come to the front and try to reconstruct a mind map of what all these kind of keywords are about. And then they make some kind of explanation. Next week, I pick another different kind of group to do the same practice as well. So it's actually making the students finding meanings about what they learn, and construct together and relook at the whole concept together. So that could be done as part of the recap session. Also, the students, as you see from the video, they were actually being told to prepare a mind map. Okay. Similarly, we can repeat that. I mean, for example, if let's say we ask them to use Canva, you can also ask them to do so. For example, like after they have gone through the material, give them the Canva link, and then they can collaborate and come out with a mind map together from there. That is also another practice. Or also you can just use Mentimeter for quizzes, for example. So this is the recap session that we could do just to refresh back whatever that they have gone through from the video. And after that, then I ask them to sit in their own group. Sometimes the activities may finish within that 2 hours session. Sometimes the activities may continue to the next session, next class. So usually I would give them videos that would cover 1 week kind of activities, for example. And sorry, one week punya lesson. And then when they actually completed watching the videos, and then do the recap, and then after that, I will ask them to sit in their own cooperative learning groups. So when they have cooperative learning group, I give them some kind of task, and it depends lah what kind of task is that. What I always do is actually I try to make a variety of tasks so that the students cannot predict the same task over and over again. One of the things, for example, I use Jigsaw, Teams games tournament, Fishbowl, for example. There are some kind of guided worksheets. 1 hour is not enough, Dr. ID. Usually, I would take 2 hours. So if let's say you want to conduct activities, take 2 hours. 2 hours is sufficient. Okay. And also you can also use open-ended group activities lah. Any kind of activities. I will bring you to the activities later on. So about that time as well, there will be some kind of before we start. How long do you usually prepare for the activities? It depends, Dr. Kuzaimi. Because I think the material wise, in terms of the material wise, we don't prepare a lot, right? But once we have the material, next we have to think about what kind of activities that we need to do. For example, like right now when I'm conducting a workshop, workshop with you, it doesn't take that long anymore because it's already in mind. Like, okay, I need to do this activity. I need to think about this, or this activity should fit about this some kind of time, for example. But as a start, usually maybe it takes sometimes lah, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours for you to just brainstorm and think about the suitable activities that need to be done for them. But along the way, as we train our brain, exercise our brain, so it shouldn't be that long. As long as you have in mind, okay, whenever I have lecture, I should have activities. Whenever I conducted this kind of thing, I should have activities. So that makes that will give you a much more holistic ways of doing the teaching and learning activities. And then mini team building and sharing of expectation. Now, this is also one thing that I didn't leave out. If you read my reflection just now, kan ada share reflection. One of the reflection tu I didn't come for the team building. Because I had to go for our session kan. But then I didn't gel well with this group of students. That's my reflection. So I believe that whenever that we want to conduct a team building, you need to be there. You need to support the students and you need to convey your expectation to them. Why you are doing this? Why you doing flipped classroom, for example? Why you doing cooperative learning? The students need to know because they and then try to associate that with the future needs of the future workforce or whatsoever. Then it will make sense to them. Of course, along the way there will be some students who are complaining here and there, but as also the feedback says, don't be disheartened. Just continue and go on and do it, and they'll be able to. One day, inshallah, they will actually appreciate what you are doing. That's the most important thing. And I also actually when I do the grouping, okay, when I do the grouping, I I always do the grouping myself. I don't allow the students to form their own group because for many reasons. One of the reasons that I found that if let's say the students have a tendency to form the group on their own, there will be a lot of free riders among themselves, and it gonna be difficult for their friends to say, hey, you are a free rider, contohnya. You are not cooperating. Ataupun kalau yang ada, if let's say you have somebody who talk about it pun, and ended up it breaks the friendships. So you don't want that to happen. You want, because you keep telling to the students that later on when you work when you start finding jobs, for example, you're not going to work together with your friends. You are actually going to meet different kind of people, different kind of strangers, different level, different age, but you have to work together. So the idea here is that whenever that I put you with the stranger, this is the time for you to make new friends and make connection with new people. So that's why how would you know which would be the free rider when you group them? Sometimes the students have a tendency, for example, like the surface learner have a tendency to go together with the surface learner as well. So you know lah what will happen ultimately for that particular group in terms of the quality of the work and so on. So whenever that I decided in terms of giving them the groups, I look into several criteria. Among which, for example, like we look into the CGPA, of course. But CGPA, there's some tricky part in it. For example, like if let's say you want your students, don't put students who are 3.9 together with 2.5. Don't put them together. Try the lowest that we can put, those who are actually at 3.9 or 4 flat, for example, the lowest that we can put maybe around 3, CGPA 3. That's the lowest. Don't put below than that. because the students who are actually below than that, they will feel inferior, and the students who have higher CGPA will feel that this particular student is a liability to the group. So we don't group them together. That's number one. Second one is in terms of the gender. So please ensure that whenever that you want to create a group shouldn't be more than 5. 6 is too many already. But in this particular workshop, I have to clump you together lah, sebab some of you, I know that you have to go away doing some other things. So I cannot simply demonstrate put 4 or 5 of you together. Otherwise nanti hilang. Yes, when it comes to language proficiency, is also possible. We can have as many criteria as we want. And gender-wise, for example, don't put one girl with 3 men, for example, 3 boys, for example. Don't do that, because ended up the girl will become the secretary for everything. This is also part being researched by Professor Felder, Richard Felder. He mentioned the same thing, that please don't put only a single lady in one group. Otherwise, you need to constantly monitor and supervise that group. Okay, if you don't have choice. And then another thing is actually we put, for example, like you can also put in terms of personality. So if you know about the students, different kind of temperament, some of the students are highly extrovert, some of the students are introvert. You may want them to learn and work together so that they can understand different people with different personality, have a different way to come up with their planning. For example, I take a simple bird test personality. If you haven't heard about dope test, dove, owl, peacock, and eagle. So eagle and peacock ni is a type of extrovert people. Eagle is kalau dia punya, if their tagline is just do it, like Nike kan, just do it. Very sometimes they can be very bossy. This kind of people. And peacock pula, dia extrovert dia yang party goers. Party goers yang macam hello, hi everyone. Kalau dia masuk jumpa orang kan, menjerit-jerit jumpa. This is kind of peacock people yang memang highly extrovert. They have a lot of ideas. These people have a lot of ideas. And then there are also 2 more personality. Dove. Dove is merpati. Dove ni is a very friendly followers, a good team workers, and they are not simply cannot simply nak ajak bergaduh dengan orang. Berbanding dengan eagle, they are boat rocker. Okay. And then another group is owl. Owl ni ialah also another introvert, but they are actually the one who need to plan in advance. For example, like things comes last minute, they are already anxious. But they are actually trying to achieve perfection. These people are good lah at secretarial punya work. These are good people. So usually I ask the students to do the personality profiling so that I can just try to put them together, because also at the same time, I found that eagle ni are very, very few. Usually in the class, about 10%. You can have extrovert like peacock, like dove and owl a lot, but not eagle. So imagine if, let's say, I put all the eagles together, what will happen? In one group of 4, all eagles. Can you expect what will happen? And if, let's say, I put dove together in one group, all dove, all kind of merpati, it can be chaotic because everybody want to bring to their own direction. Because eagle ni dia nak domain dia sendiri. They want to have their own domain and they want others to follow them. So if, let's say, you have so many eagles inside the group, so everybody is like quarreling each other. That's number one. If, let's say, you put all the peacocks together, of course, there are going to be a lots of ideas. But who's going to do that? Because peacock just throw ideas and they are very disorganized. If you put all these dove together, for example, what will happen? Kesian nak cancel orang lain. Okay, idea you bagus. Idea you pun bagus juga. Tulislah semua idea orang dalam tu. That's actually the dove. And the owl, maybe they try to achieve perfection, but the different level of standard also makes different. And everybody is freaking out if, let's say, suddenly lecturer bagi sudden quiz ke dan sebagainya tak ready kan. So that's how why I think personality, temperament is good also to be included in this grouping lah. And okay, there's a question here. How do you balance the performance between high achiever groups and average achiever groups to reduce learning gap among the students? Okay, this is where actually scaffolding comes in. If, let's say, you have already grouped those people. For example, like 3.9, 3.8, 3 lah, group of 3 in one group. And then you have another group, maybe 3.2 is the highest, and then you have 2.5, 2.4 in another group. This is where actually you can actually give more scaffold to this group. You can focus more to this particular group who needs help in compared to another group. Maybe they need maybe 3 to 4 steps in order for them to achieve the task. And for me, I think that's a relief because you don't have to monitor, you don't have to give a constant monitoring to everyone because this group, you know that if let's say you just give them the task, it's going to be completed. But this group, you need to give extra scaffold to them and you need to put extra focus on it, which is, it doesn't matter, right? It could be a targeted teaching. Yes, that's true. Which means that teaching is still for everyone, but of course it's a targeted scaffolding. I would say that it's a very, because different people, they will need a different kind of scaffolding. We cannot just simply one size fits all to everyone, right? Some people who are, they considered, maybe these people, these students, they call themselves as a slow learner, for example. So we need to give more scaffold for these groups rather than another group which actually they can just spread their wings and fly. So that's how I think it's good to conduct this kind of cooperative learning approach, because you really can have a targeted scaffolding to specific groups, specific people. I will share with you. If you Google, you can also use personality plus test. But I have also, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to upload the Excel document in the Padlet later on, so that you can use that if you want to ask the student to do the test for the bird test, something like that lah. Okay. Right. So along the way, this is part of the early semester, and along the way you can also do intermittent activities such as peer rating, feedback session. You can ask the student to do give feedback to each other, team session. From, for example, maybe you can take the next 10 minutes so that the students sit in the group together and try to write down what are the positive things that happen as a team. What are the things that we can improve together as a team, so that it allows a team reflection kind of activities. Okay, so right now we're going to actually look into the activities that we could do while using cooperative learning. Okay. Ya, saya terputus tadi, hilang semua. Okay. So we're going to look at cooperative learning. Okay, we're going to do jigsaw activities. So right now we have roughly 71, and I think we need to actually and if let's say depends kepada group tadi, we have roughly about 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna delete this. Delete this page. Delete this page. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups in these previous activities. So what I'm gonna do is we need to split into 2 sessions. Wait, let me figure out. Okay. Let me do the breakout setting first. So we need to split into 7 groups and let participant choose any session. Okay, I would rename that group according to the name of the group. So the first group is motivated lecturers. Second group is girls power. Hold on, give me some. Okay, meanwhile, while actually you are waiting for me to set up the group, can everybody go to Padlet and click on item 5. Okay. Item 5 is actually on the team at the activities that could be done in a cooperative learning punya setting. So you may want to skim through first, while actually later I'll give further instruction on how we can proceed with this. C is Flip Educators. Okay. And room 4 is Durian and Coffee. 5 is Hats. Okay. Room 6 is Hybrid Booster. Oh, dah cantik dah Hybrid Booster punya set. And then room 7 is Dynamic Septagon. Okay. Okay, link for Padlet So this is the link for Padlet. Everybody can have a look. Please go and item 5 Look at item 5. Alright. So right now I have already prepared the breakout session according to your group names. Okay, according to your group names here. And what you're gonna do is when you enter the group later on, okay, each one of you need to take one strategy. Okay, each one of you need to take one strategy. For example, like those who actually motivated lecturers, masuk balik group asing, group asal, and then please decide who take team schemes tournament, okay, who take student team achievement division, who take group investigation, and who will take academic controversy. If let's say you have 6, 5, 6, 7 or 8 of you inside the group, so accordingly lah, maksudnya mungkin ada 2 orang ambil satu strategi, another 2 take another one strategy and so on. Okay, but the minimum that we need to have in the group is 4. So if let's say I found that there is not many people inside the group, minimum is less than 4, then I need to disband and transfer you somewhere else lah, so that the activities still can be conducted. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Jigsaw Activities. Okay, the name of Jigsaw Activities is like this. Each one of you will go back to your own group later on, and then you will actually decide which one to take which particular section. Okay, motivated lecturers here, girls power here, flip educators, as well as Durian and Coffee will be together here in your own group. Each one of you take material in, and then after that, I'm going to ask you to do the reading, okay, individual reading, maybe for the next 10 minutes, maybe less, 7 minutes or so. When you do the reading, while reading, there are actually, I would like you to do something while reading, try to understand the topic itself. And then after that, I'm going to put you in a new breakout session where, for which that, if let's say you are taking stat, you will move into stat team. If you are taking TGT, you will move into TGT team and so on. Okay. So what you're going to do, this is what we call as expert group lah. So what you're going to do in the expert group, okay, what you're going to do is actually you when you are in expert group and you have already assigned a material, you will describe, you will need to describe that in unusual way. Okay, so I'm going to give you the Canva link again later on here. For example, team games tournament. Okay, I'm going to give you the link. So for those who are actually doing team games tournament, will be able to describe about teams game tournament in what I call is unusual way, because there must no be text in it. They can only be pictures or elements or cartoons or comics inside here to describe about the activities. Okay, to describe about teams game tournament itself. So once you completed the task, everybody will return back to their own home group, and they will need take turn to explain to the group members about what they have completed here in this particular task. Faham ke? Do you get it? Kalau okay, cakap okay. Dr. Chia, what is that? Kenapa bersedih?
A bit confusing lah, Dr. Tazli.
Alright, okay.
Sorry.
No problem. So what I'm gonna do, okay, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do with you what we call as jigsaw activity. So after this, you still remember, right? All of you remember your own group, right? Whether you are motivated lecturers ke, hybrid booster and so on, you will need to join that group again just for a while. Just for a while so that you can pick which assignment, which particular task that you will need to take. Whether you are taking TGT ke, group investigation, academic controversy and so on. Okay? You need to decide on that. I'll just give maybe roughly about 2 minutes for you to decide, to give the assignment, and then I close that room and you come back to the main session. So when in the main session, I will allow the next 7 minutes for you to do individual reading, okay, of the topic that you have been assigned in your own group. And after that, I will open a new session, new breakout session, which means that all the academic controversy will join with academic controversy from different group. And what you have to do, okay, is you're gonna use the Canva to develop, to explain about the techniques that you read in by using pictures or icons and so on. So there's no words that you should put here. So I'll give you maybe roughly about 20 minutes to do so. And after 20 minutes, I will actually close the room, and then I will bring you back to the main session. And after that, I will reopen another new breakout room, which means that the old group that you have joined before, motivated lecturers or girls power or flip educators, you will join back that group, and then after that you will take turn to explain to each other about the techniques that you have been assigned to. I hope that's fine. Tak apa kita go through sikit-sikit. It's okay, step by step. Nanti you will start to make sense about what we are doing. So right now, what I want you to do, I'm going to open the breakout session, and then I want you to pick the room that you are assigned to, which particular group you are in, and then start to do the assignment first. So after a few minutes, then I'll bring you back. Okay? Yes, the second group, which is what we call as expert group. Now I'm going to put you in what we call as home group. This is home group, this left side. The second side is expert group. Okay? So we start the breakout session. I hope that you can pick the room that is given here, and then after that, start to assign by each other first. Okay? Whatever it is, still go back to the material. Pergi kat Padlet, item 5. Nanti cari item lain pula. Okay? Everybody go to item 5. So I'll start the breakout session right now for the next 3 minutes. So please click the room that you are actually dedicated to. Okay, we only have so far 3 joining. Please click and join the other group as well. Dynamic Septagon is not there yet. Nobody yet. Okay, baru seorang. Girls Power baru 2 orang. Tengok mana group join cepat ni. Motivated Lecturers baru seorang. Motivated. If you click dekat breakout, CDAE, can you please help tak? Macam mana? Dia nak klik sebab now
boleh buka dekat participant list.
okay, you
Lepas
go to
tu
participant
choose
list.
breakout session, nanti boleh join dekat situ, dekat tepi tu.
Right. So go to the bar, ada participants, click on participants and they will have breakout session. So go to the tab breakout session and choose the room. Okay, Dynamic Septagon tak cukup lagi. Flip Educators baru 2 orang. I just need minimum of 4. That's all. Okay, dynamic septagon is 4. Okay, hybrid booster motif. Okay, now all other groups is already there. I'm gonna check on them first.
Kalau siapa ada masalah untuk join breakout session, boleh letak dekat chat group mana, saya cuba untuk movekan ke dalam breakout session tu ya.
Dynamic.
Okay, kita semua dah berada di main session balik. So right now, I'm going to give you the next 5 minutes lagi so that you can continue with individual reading while I'm making some setup of the new breakout room. Okay. So just read your task and then start to imagine lah how does it look like and so on. Please also jot down anything that you feel difficult. For example, like you still do not understand ke, you can just jot down aside and then nanti bila masuk dalam expert group, you can actually discuss with your team members, new team members tadi untuk apa to get clarification. Okay. So we have another 5 minutes lah before we do another breakout.
Sampai 3.45 Dr. Tazli.
3.45, bagi dia orang reading dulu sekarang.
Okay.
Okay.
Dr. Tazli.
Hi.
Hi, this is Ong. May I know exactly what should we do?
Oh,
Let's say if I take a topic 2, so what should I do?
okay, right now you read, you need to read that topic, that section on your own first, and then start to imagine lah how does the activity is going on, and then go through the reading, complete the reading. After this, I'm gonna put you in a new breakout for which all those who actually doing activity reading on activity 2 will be there together. So when you are in that particular room, you will use Canva to express what you understand from it.
Okay, so activity is from item 6, right?
Activity from item 5.
Item 5.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Mhm.
Item
Okay.
5. Okay, there are actually four activities inside there.
Mhm.
Since you are assigned to activity 2, so you go to activity 2, which is student team achievement division stat. You need to read on that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Saya tengah preparekan untuk expert group nanti So tunggu sekejap Okay, semua before kita masuk ke um, before we enter the session, another expert group session, we call it expert group session. This is where actually I have prepared the Canva link. So I hope that you can join similar Canva link. I'll share with you right now. This is the link. Okay. So this is the link. I hope that you can rejoin back the link. So let's everyone go to page 10. Okay, page 10. Don't do anything yet. Just have a look at it first. I have already dedicated this group, Teams Games Tournament, for motivated lecturers, ML. GP stand for Girls Power. FE stands for Flip Educators. DNC for Durian and Coffee. So later on, those who are actually doing Teams Game Tournament and coming from this group will be using this Canva. And they will actually join the breakout session which I have already dedicated for this group. I will label it as TGT, ML, GP, FE, DNC. You will join that group and then you will actually complete your tasks over here. So for those who are actually doing Teams Game Tournament, ML from motivated lecturers, Girls Power from FE, which is Flip Educator, and Durian and Coffee will be joining this slide. Another 3 group have and then HB, Hybrid Booster, as well as DS. DS is Dynamic Septacon pula will actually be using this slide. If let's say you are actually doing Teams Games Tournament. Okay. Yang lain pula, lajunya pergi lagi. Not breakout yet. Those who are actually doing STAT, Student Team Achievement Division from this group, ML, GP, FE, and DNC will join this slide. And similarly, for those who are actually doing STAT or half, HB, and DS will be using this slide. Group investigation also similar. Okay. So for those who are actually doing group investigation from motivated lecturers, GP, FE, and DNC will be using this slide 14. And those who are actually for the remaining group have HB and DS is using slide 15. And for those who are actually in academic controversy, using ML, GP, FE, and DNC, which is from this group, motivated lecturers, okay, Girls Power, Flip Educator, DNC will be using slide 16. And then from the remaining half, HB and DS will be using slide 17. So can you, for now, before I break out the session, for those who are actually doing this task and from this group, can you please just go to the respective slide first? Bring yourself to the respective slide. Okay? Boleh Everybody have already been there at the respective slide tak payah buat apa-apa lagi. Don't do anything yet. Nanti kita buat breakout activities baru that you discuss how to describe that kind of activity in this slide. Boleh Okay. So we'll delete this part. How do we get there? Okay, this is the Canva link already being given. So you can click the Canva link. Yeah, this is Canva link. Please join this Canva link again. Okay. Alright. Academic controversy. Yang ini tak ada apa-apa. Yang ini saya akan delete. Yang ini pun saya akan delete page ni. Right. So please go to respective slide. If let's say you are actually doing academic controversy cooperative learning strategies. Okay. Dr. Roslinda, which group that you belong to, Dr. Roslinda?
DNC.
Apa dia tadi? DNC.
Ha.
Okay, DNC, academic controversy is here, slide number 17. You will be at slide number 17. Okay, you'll be going there. It's okay, Dr. Razif. Nanti, some of you team members are there, actually can help to design it. Maksudnya tak perlu everybody to design, maybe 1 or 2 people, but you throw the idea to them. The most important part, you understand what actually that slide means. Nanti bila you return back to your home group, you will need to explain to the remaining team members what are the strategies it's all about. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to do the breakout session. So there are already eight groups that I open. I will do the breakout session, start breakout session right now. So if you go to participants, click breakout session, there are actually 8 groups that I have already prepared. Satu lagi ni. AC juga tak siap rename. Okay. Saya rename yang group breakout session 8 tu. Okay.
Azli, sorry nak tanya saja.
Boleh.
That means in the expert group kami buat just one representation of the method ataupun kita just randomly individually do.
No. You have to do one.
Just do one representation.
One representation.
Okay. Collective one.
Maksudnya
Okay.
you discuss with the expert, all the other experts, come up with one representation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Academic controversy is like Dr. Razif group mana tadi? Dynamic Septicon kan? That's Septagon, right? Slide 18. Slide 18 last kali. Okay, right now I have opened the room. So please move to the respective room. For example, like if it academic controversy, I just make it as AC. AC. And GI is group investigation. STAT is student team achievement division. And TGT is team games tournament. Okay, team games Dr. Zuratul boleh cari TGT. And then dia ada tulis ML, HB, FL, DNC. So join group tu. Oh, bukan HB, sorry. ML. Aduh, silap pula. Saya silap label. It's supposed to be MLGP. Maaf ya. Petang sikit. It should be there. Okay. TGT, MLGP. Hybrid booster ni terlebih pula. Okay. Should be group GP
Dr. Tazli nak tanya.
Boleh.
Untuk hybrid booster ni, saya tengok ada banyak group. Nak boleh join dengan group mana satu
Silap. Sepatutnya saya yang grup yang tiga grup je, yang bukan yang 4.
Yang mana AC ke?
Kan yang okey, Noli buat apa, topik apa?
Saya sorry, saya terlewat masuk ni. Tertinggal
Oh,
kereta api.
taklah. Okey. Stat GP Stat GP pergi dekat sorry saya ni Dr. Ezatul jap. Dr. Ezatul masuk ni dekat sini. Ada Stat, ML, GP, FL, DNC. Grup tu. Ramai je masuk situ. Dr. Noli actually first kita pergi kat material ni lah. Material Dr. Noli grup mana tadi?
Tadi masa pagi hybrid booster.
Hybrid booster Okey, Dr.
Ya.
Noli saya cadang pergi masuk dekat grup boleh masuk grup ni kot. Academic Controversy AC ni ada
Okey.
have HBDS join group tu.
Okey.
Ah,
Terima kasih.
nanti ambil dekat Padlet material dia dekat Padlet.
Okey. Alright.
Item 5 pergi dekat last kali.
Alright. Okay. Thank you.
Ada lagi ke yang tak dapat masuk bilik? Puan Rozana. Saya kenapa? Bila saya masuk bilik saya tak boleh keluar dah.
Oh, bila leave session pun tak boleh?
Bila saya leave kan. Leave tu dia tak bagi masuk saya balik ke main hall. Macam tu lah main session. Dia macam kena lompat-lompat bilik je.
Sepatutnya kalau leave session, kalau dia akan main kat main meeting dulu, lepas tu baru kita boleh masuk breakout lain.
Okay. Alright. Saya try lah.
Alright.
Saya pergi
Jangan
tengok.
end meeting sudah.
Okay. Saya pergi tengok sat depan ni. Rozana,
Saya
nak tanya, kita tak boleh bagi macam announcement dekat group. Dia tak dapat kan? Dia tak ada kan?
tak pasti.
Dia sebab kalau macam Zoom kita boleh bagi macam announcement
Boleh
kan?
kot. Kalau yang broadcast tu boleh.
Broadcast. Kat mana broadcast?
Kalau doktor buka breakout session kan, dekat bawah tu saya rasa ada broadcast.
Oh, jap. Saya kena buka dulu sikit. Tak ada.
Tak ada.
Saya tak ada. Ini untuk host je kot.
Sekejap saya bagi role host, cuba tengok. Sekejap. Host. Cuba tengok, ada tak?
Oh, ada. Kalau jadi host boleh buat.
Okey, silalah jadi host.
Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Kembali semula kepada main session ni. Right, everybody is already here, right? So sepatutnya kita dah habis task tu, masing-masing dah siapkan task untuk for all the slides given. So the next things that we're gonna do is actually I'm going to put you back into your form breakout session. Saya akan buat balik 7 group tadi, which is the first one is motivated lecturer. The second one is, the group name is Girls Power. The third one is Flip Educator. Fourth one is durian and coffee. The fifth one is apa tadi? Half. And then the seventh one is hybrid booster. And the final one is dynamic septagon. Okay. So I'm going to open back the room, home group. So everybody need to go back to their own home group tadi. So and then you can take turn to explain to the team members about what's the diagram is all about. What are the activities that you could choose and so on, and open for question and answers lah. So we're gonna have memang roughly about I think 10 to 12 minutes for the activity. Boleh? Okay, so I'm going to open back for the start breakout session balik. So please pick your own group, your home group. Okay, please choose your own group right now. Okay, hybrid booster, we don't have enough participants there. Okay, dynamic septagons there. Flip educators. Okay, we have enough. Girls power enough. All right. For those who have actually just joined and do not have any group, but then you want to listen and learn something, please click any room, just join. Okay. You can just click any room and you can join, and so that you can listen to their presentation. Okay, everyone is back. I'm sorry kalau ada yang tak sempat habis explanation tadi, but I hope that you can get some gist lah about the topics that the techniques that you can use inside the class. So for example, if you have done the flip activities, flip classroom, so right now you are actually doing activities. So what kind of activities that you can conduct in the class, I have shared with you lah. So if let's say we go back to whatever that you have done, I think that's quite interesting. A lot of colorful things, a lot of diagrams here and there. But it's good. It's a good attempt for everyone. If you don't understand anyway, if do you have any question about the techniques, you can ask now before we proceed to the next session. We're almost there. We'll almost complete the session. Is there anyone who like to ask anything? Need some clarification about certain techniques ke? Do you have any? Or is it all good? The first one, which is team games tournament, right? Okay. So in teams game tournament ni, kalau if you read, maybe it's a bit lengthy sikit dia punya explanation dia. But actually team games tournament, it doesn't mean that you have to prepare that 35 question though. Okay, that's number one. So what the lecturer did is actually she prepared 35 questions, and then she just actually assigned to the students and asked the student to answer it. So if let's say the student cannot answer it, she will take it as if like to show that okay, this is something that some teachable item, some teachable material, because the student cannot attempt and answer it. There is something that she can further explain and teach that. Okay. The next thing that she did is actually she put everyone in the cooperative group. For example, like I'm going to put back motivated lecturers in one group, flip learners in one group, girls power in one group, durian and coffee in one group. Okay. And in each group, what you're trying to do is you need to actually start to answer the question given by the lecturers. Okay, the lecturers give, let's say, 30 questions. So each and every one of you take turn, pick one number, and then try to answer the question. If it's correct, you keep it with you. If it's wrong, and somebody else among yourself can steal and answer that question. So if they answer correctly, they can take that number and keep it with them. So by the end of that session, it is about comparing those who actually get the highest within that group. Who can answer the highest question, the most number of questions in that group. So when actually that somebody can answer that, there is also a teachable moment where, for example, like I cannot answer it, somebody can answer it and they'll be able to teach how to answer that question. By the end of that session, the lecturer will rank lah. For example, like durian and coffee, they have 5 people. Who got rank number 1, which means answer the most question right. Who get number 2, who get number 3, number 4, and number 5, for example. Number 5 maybe answer only 1 right. Everything else is wrong. Okay. And then maybe not in the same session or maybe in the next class. The next class, there'll be going to be a tournament. So those who actually top rank in durian and coffee, and top rank in flip educators and top rank in motivated lecturers will be competing each other, the first rank. And then at the same time, the second rank from each group also will be competing together. The final rank also will be competing together. The idea during that competition is for them to steal the marks, to become the top of that group so that they can get highest mark and they will be able to bring it back to their home group just now. So the home group with the highest average mark, for example, maybe become considered as a winner. So that is actually teams games tournament. The opportunity for learning happen is just before the tournament lah, which means that it's like coach want to prep everyone. Okay, everyone, you need to make sure that we win this tournament. No matter which rank that you are in, we're gonna win this tournament and we're gonna bring a lot of marks to our group so that we can become the winner. So that's the idea of teams games tournament. Okay. Any more clarification you need? May I ask you, for example, out of these four techniques, teams game tournament, stat, academic controversy, and group investigation, which one that you feel you may want to start first? Any other? Maybe you can share with me. Dr. Razif nak share, nak guna mana satu, Dr. Razif? Oh, the games tournament. Okay, you want to use game tournament. Okay, TJT because students live to compete. The third one, academic controversy is also interesting. This is also an approach where actually you can develop empathy in our students, because selalu debate is just a pro and oppose and that's it. But now they are turning role, taking and changing role. So when they start to change role, they will start to see other people points of view, and they will need to summarize it together. That is something very interesting to do with academic controversy, and it can be done. It can be done only in during one session, 2 hours punya session class. We can complete everything. Because sometimes TGT may need maybe two sessions, for example. Okay. Very enriching for all participants. Yep. I think that's also very interesting, academic controversy. Dr. ID nak try mana Dr. ID? Ada ke tak Dr. ID ni? Okay. So that's actually all about the activities. Tak decide lagi. Alright. So those are all the activities that you can actually choose, but it's not limited only to this. You can also find there are other activities such as jigsaw. The one that we're doing just now is what we call as jigsaw. Cumanya jigsaw ni saya prefer guna physical. Physical ni sebab senang bagi instruction. Kalau buat secara online ni sometimes adalah tiba-tiba dia lari pergi group lain lah, dia tak faham. So that could happen as well. But it's okay. The apa dia kata practice tu, when you actually practice regularly with the same students, lama-lama dia akan be able to cooperate lah, dia understand what is actually happening. Of course, the first time is always there's always a first time, and there's always some hiccup here and there, but no worry about that.
Dr. Tasli, I have a
Yes.
question.
Boleh?
Azan here. Okay, I have a question. Basically, like you mentioned about the team games tournament, right? How do you actually make sure that, example, what I did for my students is that we have a board game.
Okay.
So we have made regulations that they have to answer based on their pairing lah, right?
Okay.
But they still go and how to say this? The other group will still insist on helping that group that is actually competing. So which means that the cooperation is too strong that they don't mind that all of them would go like, okay, if you got it wrong, all of them would by even like hinting by click mata, like mouthing the answers. So how do we try to how to say, to minimize that? It's good to see the interaction, but in a way it's a bit like still you can't measure the students' achievement, right?
Maybe you make the question harder.
The question is quite hard enough, I think. But one good thing is that I actually give them 3 times lifeline, which means that they can ask me, they can ask their friends, and they can actually search online for 2 times.
Right.
Rarely they would use ask me. So which means ask the lecturer. So they would prefer to ask their friends and try to search online, which is a good thing. But how do we minimize that trying to help around? Which I think is like, I don't know.
I'm quite excited when they start to help around. Sebab they are helping around kan, they are cooperating and helping around. That is good. Tapi cuma perhaps when we were doing kind of tournament tu macam it doesn't make sense lah. Of course you want maybe you can actually increase the winning punya prize kot. It's also one opportunity to do, so that perhaps masa tu dia mungkin start okay. Maybe you can give, for example, they can have lifeline, for example. But for those who are taking lifeline, ada deduction of marks ke, for example, I do not know. And increase the reward, for example. For those who actually get the top group, for example, they may get something. I don't, but it's good.
Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
It's good for them to cooperate, right?
It's good, but in one sense, like sometimes because you have the measurement, right? We use the snake and ladder. So when they reach to the top, they are like trying as much as they can to help those who are down below.
Right.
Which is good lah in one sense.
Yeah, but I think it's a good spirit lah. I mean, you should also, you celebrate that lah. That also need to be celebrated, so that the student feel the need to cooperate. That is good. Thank you, Dr. Hafzat, for sharing. Okay, so let's go back to some of the final bits here. All right, I'm going to share with you just briefly on On the assessment, never mind, because I think the assessment part I will be, I think Parozana wanted me to deliver another session on HOTS later on. So you can join me later after Raya. But let's see, let's have a look a bit, just a little bit on the planning for your flipped classroom lah. So how can actually we plan for the flipped classroom? For example, you can actually have this kind of table. You can develop this table according to your week, topic, outcomes, and details that you want. And then you should actually try to list down what would be the expectation as well as the activity that is needed. Okay. Dr. Shaila tanya, among all four, which one required a lot of time? I think it depends. It depends. Mostly, I would say it depends on the preparation time as well. So I think it's almost equivalent the same lah in terms of the four techniques. So, okay. So in terms of the plan assessment, expectation, instructors, and then you can fill up this form lah. So we can consider as well what kind of assessment that we're gonna do. As an example here that I share with you, for example, like I'm teaching reaction engineering. So this is the detail. Let's look at the week 2 ni. So I have listed down what would be my expectation on the students. Students need to watch video on chapter 1 before the class. And during the class, what I plan to do. I plan to do quiz. I plan to do recap in pair. I plan to do mind map formation for 40 minutes. And then because my class is 2 hours, so the another activities is associating different type of reactors with application out of the classroom, including photo reflection activities. And the student need to share in the social media, for example. So number of likes equal to marks, for example. And then for the instructors, because the class there are 3 sessions and different instructor, what we did is actually, if you watch the video, myself and Dr. Raihan tadi kan, so some of us ada yang ngajar hari Isnin, Selasa atau Rabu, but we actually share the same lesson plan. So we used to have 160 students, so we split them into 40, 40, 40, 40. So I have 2 sessions, Dr. Raihan have 2 sessions. So this is we share the same lesson plan lah. For example, that our expectation is for the student to recap chapter 1. So we need to prepare Socrative punya quiz. We need to prepare one motivation video by the end of the session as part of the debriefing and closure. And for example, like here, prepare group gamification leaderboard, so that because we consistently conduct activities weekly, so every activities too, there are some kind of tournament lah among the group. So we update regularly which group that is actually at the top, getting full mark and so on lah. And the plan assessment here, as part of the scaffolding, we give reflection. We ask the student to reflect their experience doing all of this. And then we give formative assessment with some short activities. So that is one of the example of the lesson lah that I have here. Dr. Izzatul have question, based on your experience, which method is most likely by student? Most like by students, I think depends. It depends juga. It depends on the type of learners. Ada some students yang memang dia suka competition. Ada some students that they need some kind of guided worksheets and so on. It depends on that. But it's actually, it boosts them to further improve the understanding on the topics lah. Especially when they do the competition kind of tournament things. And then especially when the marks involve, they will be there. They will actually be more participative in that lah. So this is example of how we make planning lah in term of our class. Okay. So this is some of the reflections about what I have done before. As I think I have informed you earlier that I conducted this session in 2015. As a start in 2015. So I conducted this Flipped-Cooperative Learning. I learned Flipped Classroom from Prof. Karim. I learned Cooperative Learning from Prof. Khairia. So I start to see that I think why not we try to combine this together. So I have a first batch that I thought was 160 students, as I mentioned earlier. And this particular student is a bit special because these 160 students, their SPM, they have a good grade in SPM. back in UTP last time. They have good grade in SPM, but for the first 3 semesters they are taking chemical engineering, their result was very, very poor, very mediocre. For example, like out of 160, maybe less than 5 got an A. Like maybe 20 of them failed the subject before, for example. So we taught these particular students in semester 4. In semester 4, for which me and Dr. Raihan taking reaction engineering, teaching this group of students, and another 2 more lecturers teaching another subject, but they're just using active learning approach. But along the way, what we did also, we have integrated problem-based learning in between, but we actually adopted the approach of Flipped-Cooperative starting from day 1, from week 1. So the student need to watch the video, the students need to actually go through the activities in the group and so on lah. Of course, there are a lot of activities because there's a lot of preparation, but the good thing is because we are sharing the topics, the subject. So the video itself, partly prepared by Dr. Raihan, some of it is prepared by myself. So not that difficult lah in order for us to prepare the video for the students. So the students along the way, there are a lot of improvement that we have seen. So this is one of among the reflection. For example, one of the students, his CGPA is 3.52. He said it is amazing to think the amount we will be able to achieve through self-learning in this semester, and it was possible to do so through active learning. They call it everything active learning. Dia tak tahu pun benda tu flip classroom, tapi they call it active learning. We covered the from simple more balanced to detailed isothermal series and multiple reactors. It brings me to the challenge we face in this course. Truth be told, this course might have been the most notorious of all, especially when we were challenged with PBL activity, not to mention all the open-ended questions. I think despite the hard challenges, I was able to become more independent learner, but most importantly, a team player and patient student with grit. Okay, all in all, it was another fruitful session for us, and I'm confident to say that I have learned something. So this is the keyword that we have extracted from this student reflection. Another students learning this course giving me new classroom experience. I never experienced any module made by the lecturers in classroom anywhere. The excitement to go class is never same anymore. Even though I overslept or have any event, I still rush to attend the class because I know I will miss the excitement and something fun. Learning the subject turning me to perseverance, completing the task within short time and with quality, not an easy thing. It makes me become more cautious and detailed in my work as everything will be evaluated. I also learn to manage my time as we have to spend a lot of time to do group discussion. To lead a group is not easy on how it looks. I have to put me and my group members' shoes where they have commitment as well. Slowly, I become to tolerate with my group members. I also have to respect my group members' decision. The best thing is I make a lot of friends in my class. Okay, so 160 students, mula-mula dia orang tak kenal each other, but after that, the network is become better in terms of they get to know each other, they get to know the different clan of friends, for example, different network of friends. And then the student throughout the semester, I admit that I acquire many things. I was, and I think that I'm still an introvert. However, I improve a lot. Grouping tasks really helped me to understand the chapters instead of just passively learn through lectures. Learning through videos was not my way of studying. Dia tak suka tengok video because I tend to sleep while listening to it. I tried to overcome it by jotting down all the important things instead of just print out the lecture slide. I repeated the video many times to ensure that I did not miss anything. In groups, I acquire some new things too. I realized that dividing tasks in group will benefit all of us. The task was done in a faster way and correctly because we discussed everything. I learned to accept others' opinions and tried hard to understand others' weaknesses. I believe that for my group, marksmen, we have a strong bonding and we have always understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. So you can start to see that the students are not only benefited due to the academic achievement. Because what happened out of this, from 160 students that we taught, 96% improved in terms of their GPA. 96%. Which means that it's not only on this particular subject, but also on other subjects as well. And we found that there are students who make very significant leap. Okay, for example, like this student, he always got CGPA of 3.3, 3.4, but for that semester he got 3.96. There's also a student who actually got a GPA of 1.8 for the previous semester in semester 3. She got 3.6 for that semester. There was also a student who actually got like 2.4. He got 3.4 for that particular semester. So it's a very significant leap for this particular students. It it's actually in terms of their values, their attitude, their skills, and so on. It's improving a lot. So that's why I'm quite happy to see in terms of their progression. So they already graduated. Some of them already completed master studies and so on. Many of them got good and great jobs. So I must feel that I'm very happy with the students' achievement lah. Because I think they step out after when we start to compare in terms of their punya performance with other batches, which is towards the end is almost the same. They are actually competitive as well with other batches as well. So we feel that that's a good thing, because after semester, when they move into semester 5, we no longer teach them. Of course, we were quite afraid juga lah, takut if let's say the students go back to the initial state, but no, but they are just maintaining their punya performance throughout. That's what we got from the students punya reflection lah. So I think that's all for my session. I would like to actually, if possible, kalau if you be able to go back to Padlet, if possible, I would like you to actually share, okay, your reflection. I would like you to share your reflection about these courses by using what we call as Gibbs reflective cycle. I'm going to share you what is actually Gibbs reflective cycle. Okay. Alright, so this is Gibbs reflective cycle. And I always ask my student actually to write down their reflection based on this, okay? Based on reflective cycle, so that they learn how to write reflection better. So before we ended our session, perhaps you can just spend the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just write anywhere here about what actually that you found from this workshop, anything that you learned, something new that trigger you, anything that you feel good about it, anything that you feel bad about it. Perhaps you can share with me. Of course, part of it as my feedback, but at the same time, it's also to train yourself in terms of learning experience. Otherwise, I think we can also do, let me see, I think we can just write down dekat Mentimeter kot, better lah. Okay, instead of just write dekat Padlet, we can write dekat Mentimeter. Okay. So, yeah. Can you please just share your reflection for today's session? Click at menti.com and write down what are the things that you feel macam trigger ke? Is there any something new? Is there any something new that you learn, you wanted to do? Dr. Suhaila, saya rasa TGT tu it's doable. Maybe sometimes ada juga, kalau tak salah saya dekat, if I'm not mistaken, we can actually find dekat YouTube, not mistaken. Kalau ada lah in term of that. Oh, by the way, saya berjanji dengan somebody tadi in term of apa ni okay, saya berjanji tadi sebab pasal personality profiling. So nanti saya akan copy link ni. Ini adalah form yang saya guna. Then there is a link for the student to do personality plus profiling untuk student. Also, they can also use a learning style so that they understand about the learning style. And then I also have another link that I will share with you is the peer rating punya activities. Okay, peer rating punya link. So this is peer rating link. So the students need to only answer based on the rubric here given. And then they will fill up ID number, bagi rating pada themselves and to the team members and so on. So after they give the rating to the team members, and then we convert this into numbers. For example, excellent, I give it 10. Very good, 9. Good, 8. Satisfactory, 7, and so on. And after that, I average that and multiply with the assignment team marks assignment mark that is given for the team. So only then we can get a difference lah between the students punya performance. I will also share this link to every one of you and some calculation of how actually I could do that. So keep the link together with you. Keep this link so that you can also revisit back the materials. I will upload the slides also in this Padlet punya link, the slide that we discussed just now, as well as the session that we have here lah. Okay. So before we end it, can you please share your reflection? Just click on the link and write down what actually that you have learned today. What do you feel? What are the interesting that you have discovered? Okay. Okay. So I learned concept on flipped classroom and cooperative learning, such as the ideas of how to engage student, new things with new friends, something I want to try in class. Okay, methods of teaching in flipped classroom. TGT, you learn about TGT. Okay. Okay. So I think I pass back to the moderator of the session. Thank you very much for your time for the whole day. Thank you very much, and I sorry lah for any inconvenience. Kalau ada apa-apa kekurangan, saya minta maaf lah. Thank you for spending the time with me today. Assalamualaikum and good day.
Terima kasih Dr. Tazli atas sesi yang sangat engaging ni. Jadi sekadar peringatan, second attendance link sudah boleh diakses di chat dan anda juga boleh scan. Cuma sekadar peringatan sekali lagi, yang e-survey tu hanya perlu dibuat sekali ya. Cuma kita scan 2 kali, tetapi e-survey tu cuma isi sekali saja.
Oh, e-survey isi yang dah isi lah pagi tadi punya.
Ya betul Dr. Razif. Kalau dah isi pagi maksudnya tak perlu petang. Kalau yang tak isi pagi, petang kena isi lah. Tapi make sure kena scan 2 kali. Kalau tak scan 2 kali memang e-survey tak dapat jawab lah. Terima kasih Dr. Tazli.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Saya tapi tak jawab e-survey.
Hello, macam mana nak scan 2 kali? Hanya klik saja kan?
Ya, sama. Guna link dekat chat pun boleh untuk sahkan kehadiran.
Link, jadi tak perlu scan lah. Siapa yang guna link tak perlu scan.
Kalau yang tadi tak scan macam mana ya? Kalau yang pagi tak scan takkan boleh jawab e-survey lah, sebab syarat untuk dapat CPD ialah kena scan 2 kali.
Okey, terima kasih.
Puan, scan maknanya kena klik the link sajalah.
Yes, scan the QR code ataupun guna link sahaja, either one.
Oh, okey.